Welcome to Getting Intimate with Intimacy. I am Jamie London Wollberg. My pronouns are he, they.
I'm Katie Jayne, she, her.
And I am May. This is a space for deep exploration of the mind, body, and soul connection.
Getting Intimate with Intimacy covers consistent multimedia content spanning all forms of intimacy, from sexual to intellectual, and everything in between.
Our content is created for all beings, bodies, and abilities, age 18 and up.
And it can be enjoyed on YouTube as well as OnlyFans and Inside Timer. The links will be in the description on for our live streams.
We're really looking forward to experiencing the infinite layers of intimacy with you.
And remember, intimacy starts within.
Namaste, everyone. Welcome back to Getting Intimate with Intimacy, episode 12. Can you believe it? We're here. 12 is such a number. We are here to discuss how does the balance of your feminine and masculine energies impact your intimacy. My name is Jamie, he, they pronouns.
I'm Katie Jayne, she, her.
And I am May.
And we are here to love into you. So let's get started. May, you were the one who inspired this topic. How does the balance of divine, feminine, and masculine energies impact your intimacy?
I believe they impacted greatly, and even though I have not been conscious of this until 2 years ago, I'm going to give a little bit of context of my life history briefly because I think it's relevant here. I had a spiritual awakening 6 years ago, and it was only in the last 3 years that I started exploring myself from an energy perspective. So before that, I only knew myself as a physical being. And when I had my spiritual awakening, I realized I'm not my body, I'm not my mind, amongst other things. And 3 years ago, I realized I had an inner calling to get deeper and more real about my energy, my core energy, and in particular to have a personal notion of the feminine and the masculine, how they express themselves through me particularly, because they do in a very particular way in all of us, even though they have some qualities, both, that many people can agree on. Not all of us, but many people can agree on certain qualities of the masculine and the feminine, and yet they express uniquely through its physical creature. So 2 years ago, I realized that I had never actually been intimate with myself. I didn't know what intimacy was, even though I was craving for it with myself and with others, particularly with men on a sexual and romantic level. And the moment that I started acknowledging my own energy and identifying how it really wants to express itself, not how it should express because I am this gender or this age or this nationality or whatever, then I started engaging, connecting with men in a way that I had not been able to do before on a very sensual level. And it was not just me that had that perception. It was confirmed by some of them. So I believe it's really important. As a physical being, we are sexual beings on a physical level, and the physical is created through the masculine and the feminine, as far as we know. So it's vital that we get in touch with this aspect of our existence. So very important, yeah.
That's a powerful realization. Thank you for giving us some context as well from your journey. And I do think people will resonate. KJ, how are you resonating? How does the balance of the feminine and masculine energies impact your intimacy?
This is such a good subject, and it's a good thing we're doing a deep dive.
Yes.
follow up. That's what I feel like, because this could, so much. But I think it definitely, obviously, we all agreed on this. So we all agree that it does have an impact, right? And like May said, that's different for everybody. Everybody's expression and balance of the feminine and masculine is different and is expressed differently, and even at different times in our lives, right? Whether it's consciously or unconsciously.
Mhm.
That was something that I also was not super conscious of, May, until probably late 2021, right?
Okay.
I mean, to a degree, I had done a lot of work to embrace my physical femininity, right? My gender, because like I'd felt confused about that. Plenty growing up, I thought I was supposed to be born a boy, right? Growing up, the only girl with 4 brothers in a patriarchal religious cult. So it did take some work, even though I, like, by all accounts and purposes from the outside, I flipped the girly switch when I was around 15, but it was just because I wanted to have a princess party for my 16th birthday. No, I didn't wait until I was 21 for that. So I went more pink and, all of the things. So, and then even more so, in my later 30s, I just began that more exploration of like really embracing my femininity. I mean, it's been a gradual kind of build, I guess, and being comfortable in that, because I was shamed for so long. And, but when it comes to our feminine and masculine balance and intimacy, I think, and I know we're going to get into this more, how I'm feeling, whether I'm feeling or experiencing more of my feminine flow or my masculine flow, impacts whether I'm even open to intimacy, right? In different forms, whether I want to interact with people or not so much. If I'm concentrated in my masculine and I'm in go energy and I'm working, or whatever it is, then I'm less conscious of being open or in an intimacy mindset, I get, for me personally. But then when I'm in my feminine and I'm feeling fully embodied in my feminine and I'm relaxed and I feel like everything is going in flow, then I'm much more open to that, to giving and receiving. I more easily connect with others in general, right? On all the other levels of intimacy. So I think that this is a great conversation.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for sharing your context as well. And yeah, it's obviously something that impacts everyone differently. And I think that depending on, it's so much about, right, like the theme that was core to what both of you said is it has so much to do with sort of what is around you, right? What are the perspectives that are happening around you? How are you raised within this?
Yeah.
This is a very interesting topic for me, not only actually because of my transness, but because of the fact that it took me a long time to realize that I actually never understood for a really long time. And I still don't even fully. I mean, I understand why it's the way it is, how it got here now, but I never understood what the point of like divine feminine and divine feminine masculine energy is. Like, that was always super confusing to me, and I never really saw them as different. What I saw that was different was I felt super differently about them than virtually everyone around me, which was incredibly isolating and confusing. Because to me, I associated the divine feminine energy with Mother Nature, which to me, yes, is nurturing, but is a force that can kill you or bring you to life. Like, it's something that is incredibly strong and intense, and a lot of experiences that I was having that either really felt good or didn't feel good were coming from that space. And so oftentimes I was running from that because I was always sort of what most perceived to be as like a masculine energy. I was much more masculine of center, sort of always. And then as I started to really have that inner battle for my transition, I was dating someone who was very, very interested in feminizing me to a hyper feminine level, and I allowed it because I was in love and because I was terrified of living my truth. And ultimately, the way that the masculine presented itself to me was very reserved and withdrawn and not as present. Both my parents were professionally very active, but I definitely saw much more of my mom, and society was like, you are a girl, you have a mom, therefore you're closer to your mom. And none of this made any sense to me at all. And now where I've come to be and how it impacts my intimacy is it's more important for me now that I feel very solid in my understanding and understanding of, to me, these energies are words that we use to describe energies that are ultimately interwoven. And I just feel like anything else in life that we're discovering our spectrums, it's also a really big spectrum. So for me, it's as I'm releasing this, most of my energy and intimacy comes to honoring and respecting that other people have their perspective of what divine masculine and divine feminine energies are and what that means for them and how that impacts the way that they respond to me. And so it's much more of a holding space and acknowledgement and making peace with my perspective is blasted open and I'm like exhausted by these things that I understand are important right now for where humanity is developing. So the way that that shows up in intimacy is I'm not usually thinking about it. Like I basically no longer think about whether I'm feeling masculine or feminine. That doesn't cross my mind at all. What I focus on is um, there's someone who I want to be intimate with, and they have a very particular opinion and perspective of how that resonates, and I'm trying to match their flow, and I'm trying to see if there's chemistry. So I know that that's like a very different perspective. I'm very used to it. Everyone can disagree with me. It's okay. I'm super used to people disagreeing with me about it. But that's just how it's presented. And I think it's important for me to be really authentic in this conversation because I know that I have such a radically different perspective on this. And I want people to know that I absolutely value and respect everyone's perspective and that my perspective on this is like within everything. I'm just tired of all the labels. So it's not,
yes.
it's nothing really do. May, what? Sorry, go ahead. I was gonna.
Oh no, thank you for sharing that, dear. And I wanted to say in relation to your share that I do from time to time reflect on the feminine and the masculine on myself or the person that I'm intimate with. Just I think I do it out of curiosity. It's not that I need to put any labels, but I'm curious about some expression of me or some repression that I experience in myself or in the other person. I like to look deeper into it and see if that could be an excess of the masculine, an excess of the feminine, or if I can't identify it, I mean, but I just do it because I'm passionate about exploring existence in many ways. And sometimes I get clear answers, and other times it's not clear to me, and it's okay. But I find it very, very interesting on a physical level how both of them complement each other and how it's so relevant that we find some form of balance at least within ourselves. Yeah, we cannot force it anywhere else, but at least that we find some form of balance between our core energies.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, balance is totally key. It's something that is really our theme for the next couple episodes, right? May, what does divine masculine and feminine energy mean to you?
Oh, I think I haven't have I answered the previous question? What
you did. I was the last one to answer it. The question was, how does the balance of your feminine masculine energies impact your intimacy?
And the second one?
That's the question. It's just a repeated question. I just have it repeated in the.
Oh, okay. I thought there was another one before your divine masculine and your divine feminine. How do you see them?
No.
Okay. So for me, it's been in these past years better understanding of myself. Well, it's clear to me my gender physically, but then there's like, how do I feel and within myself? And I have gone through exploring labels of woman or no gender or two spirit. I identify more, or I identified a little bit more with two spirit person. And lately, I think I'm going back to woman in general, just because I feel that physiologically I'm so conditioned by my feminine vessel that I think it affects my human experience immensely. But I don't identify with it socially. I have done a lot of inner work to remove as much social conditioning as I've had as a woman. What am I? What is expected of me? What is natural of me? What I should be doing or not be doing, or how I should present myself in the world. And I have come to dress in a way that is, in general, rather androgynous, and that's how I feel about it. And occasionally, I like to dress more feminine, but I have come to realize that I can be very feminine in many expressions of myself, and at the same time, I feel very comfortable with masculine expressions of myself, or neutral kind of expressions of the self, where it's not very clear. Like the androgyny to me, to some extent, feels very attractive. And so it's just honoring how, like Katie said before, I have been going through a long process of understanding myself better and wanting to present myself in the world in the most authentic way. But for me, it has to be clear to me first. So I'm still in the process of getting to know myself from the masculine and the feminine, and trying to be at the greatest balance that I can be. And I have come to understand myself very well, I think. And I also know what kind of partners are good to me. For example, a man, I like men looking pretty masculine on their physical appearance. And yet I don't like men who are very masculine on their energy, on their metaphysical being. I like them as much balanced as I am. If I don't experience enough feminine energy in the man, I'm not so comfortable to share myself fully. And yet I like them to look very masculine in a, I say masculine in a way that has been like normally like big, strong, physically appearing, and in the way they dress and all of these things. But then in their personality and how I perceive them in the way they are and connect with me, if there's not enough feminine energy within themselves, that is not appealing to me anymore. And I didn't know this 15 years ago, and I was engaging with men and in many ways, and not understanding where I was off these things more clearly.
I mean, that's valid, right? Like, it's whatever you're attracted to and is what you're attracted to, and whatever resonates with you with these words is what resonates. And then that's part of what I think has always confused me because these words mean so much different. And like when you describe to me, I like a man that looks, masculine, like to me, my mind immediately shows me like almost if I were to put like 100 men visually, in my mind, I would be like, they
Which
all
one?
look so different. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So, I think we utilize these words to like shrink down because like humans, and I get that, as we get more complex, we're looking to explain a lot in a little, right? The Japanese,
Yeah.
for
It
example,
would take more time for me to explain more clearly what I want to say, and I don't have the time, so I don't want to take more of your time.
yeah, well, no, but that's why we're going to do a deep dive, which will explain to people
Yes.
later what that is. But like, the Japanese are experts at this. They have Japanese kanji, and like
Oh,
a
yeah.
character explains like 5 concepts that are like deeply
That's wonderful.
level, you know. And the thing is that most of humanity, you know, we have not caught up with that, and so we place these words in terms of our way of doing that, but then it's like, well, what does that mean? Like, I have 1,000 follow-up questions. So KJ, I'm curious, what does divine masculine and feminine energy mean to you?
Yes, well, loving the conversation. And May, I do want to just agree with what you said. Like, a guy can present as very masculine, right? But if there is not that balance or like that certain softness, which becomes apparent when you start talking to them, right? Usually, sometimes you can read the energy, but like when you start talking to somebody, that does add a certain sexy factor for sure.
Oh God, so much.
I get what you're saying so much. You're like, okay, all right, I got it. This is such an interesting topic. And I also loved your share earlier, Jamie, where you talked about like not focusing on that at all when you're approaching intimacy, which is super interesting because I found this question challenging sometimes. Right? Because I also believe that they're so blended, right? Like we all have both. And I think kind of the concept of speaking to divine masculine and divine feminine energy is just another way of understanding the polarity that we live with as humans, right? We have these differing energies, right? These different poles. If you're talking about like magnetic poles, of course, we have these opposite energies. And it is different for everybody, right? And it is a constant balancing act and in flux, as we talked about. And something that Jamie said earlier also reminded me, or maybe it was May, different people pull it out of me, right? Like I can have a very surprising masculine reaction that I wasn't expecting. And so that's also, you know, it really depends. It's dependent on your situation, on the other people around you, right? What energy you're playing with. And so, and that when I was referring to struggling with it, it's like I struggle to like specifically characterize one or the other because I find myself when I go down that train of thought, I find myself saying, well, this is a masculine characteristic, but also it could be feminine, right? Right? So of course, because things like nurturing is not limited to one or the other. Our society is very divisive on this subject, right? And so it's been unhealthy for people of both genders and gender expressions because that gets confusing with the messaging. Like, why can't we just accept that we have all of that, both and inside of us? So you know, yeah, like I'm a very much a nurturing soul. I'm life path number 6. And I also have an equally nurturing partner who is a male Leo, like, because Leos are known to be protective and family oriented. And like the males, even more so than the females, quite honestly. So, you know, it all depends. And then again, he's on his own journey and his own inner work that he's done in his own balance, right? So, and the two of us balance each other very well, you know, on our best days. And I love that. And I love seeing and sharing the blend with him, seeing how sometimes he, you know, feels safe to be more in his feminine. And then sometimes how I have fun being more in my masculine in our dynamic, for example. So I think that's what it comes down to is like, I don't feel like Jamie said spectrum. That's my favorite. Everything is on a spectrum. Yeah. And they have different uses in different scenarios.
I have nothing more to say. I'm just kidding. I'm just saying you just no, because like that is it. Like that is the thing. Like to me, when I used to transparently get into very heated arguments. I'm not even going to say debates. Very heated arguments with people about this because when we have things that are built in so deeply, and we attach our identity to that, our ego completely shuts down when you're like, when the ego feels space is not held for my journey and I'm not valid within myself, right? And I would always say, okay, but like, can we just pause and think about the fact that if you're going to associate the divine feminine with mother nature, like everything flows through that. Like you have a nurturing creator being, like what, like, and then you're what? Just going to say like what, like what more doing is there than creating a being within your womb? Which PS we now know for a long time that women are not the only ones that have a womb anymore. That's never really been true. But ultimately we now understand that this is like for sure not true. We have enough proof of this, right? And so I find that the divine masculine and feminine energies are like, there's a reason why many of us have felt called, particularly in the spiritual community, to put the word divine in front of them, right? And so to me, it's like a divine energy is a divine energy. This phone has the same energy that I'm made up of, but it's a phone because like I see it as a phone and that's how I use it. I think I've even given that example, before. So for me, when I was at the beginning of my transition, I was thoroughly convinced that I was a trans man and that all I wanted in the entire universe to be myself was to be a man. And I completely freaked out and rejected absolutely everything that at large the world perceived to be divine feminine. I wouldn't wear certain necklaces. I wouldn't wear certain colors. I wouldn't do certain haircuts. I wouldn't do certain activities because I was desperate to be seen, heard, and accepted, not only by everyone else, but within myself, unpacking this journey. And at this point, one of the reasons why I'm so solid in my identity and the way that I speak to being non-binary is because to me, the spectrum, it's not saying there isn't this and there isn't that, but it's just like, is it really making me happy to fixate on this? Is it really bringing ease to my life and explaining who I am and living who I am to hold on to these identifiers? Or am I just having a beard because I fucking like it? Or am I wearing this shirt because this is the one that was on the table sitting there and I just didn't care how I presented today? Right? Like, and that's not saying that my way is better than someone who is like, I am gender fluid, and to me, I woke up feeling very masculine today, or I feel very feminine today, and so to me, that means I'm going to wear a dress. I love that for you. I love that for you because I honor that is where you are right now, and that is where humanity is. I would just really like us to speed it along, like just a little bit.
Wouldn't we all?
And we're getting there. And to me, I want to be clear that speeding along is not the same as canceling. Speeding along is evolving. Speeding along is, I see how stressful this is for each and every one of us, and I don't want that for anyone. Like, I want you to wear that really awesome flower shirt that I constantly want to steal from KJ. If KJ wants to do that, and like, I don't sit here and think, wow, like, KJ must be feeling really feminine today. Like, I truly don't. It's only crossing my mind right now because this is what we're talking about. Like, if it didn't, like, I always, without fail, every time KJ wears that shirt, I'm like, oh my God, I love that. KJ is blowing that shirt and I would really want to wear it. And if KJ was with me, I'd be like, can I wear that for 5 minutes?
Yeah.
I have to say that I find it very feminine. It's my perspective, but it's not that not a man should wear it. It's just that for me, for example, anything with floral and some other patterns or prints, for me, it's associated with femininity. But that doesn't mean to me at all that all the people, all the genders, or all the beings cannot wear anything they want to or identify themselves with anything that they want to at all. But for me, I have that mental association, for example.
100%. But here's something that I want to bring in within this, and why to me these things matter so much within my journey. In deciding that floral prints are feminine, it creates a narrative in society where men who want to wear floral prints and appear still in what feels comfortable to them of themselves and be seen in that way and desired in that way, it like blocks them off. Why do you think we have this phrase, real men wear pink? Why? Because society created the narrative that any man that wears pink, you're gay.
Oh, yeah.
And so immediately you're terrified to wear pink because you want to attract women. But we have peacocks and every other freaking bird on the planet where the men are always most beautiful, and they are beautiful to appeal to the women. So why I get so passionate about this conversation is because, like, to me, a man wearing flowers or pink, like, that's sexy if a man wants to do that because, like, that's what they want to do, and they're kind of like, F whatever this is. And if we want to get really niche about it, if you have a tall guy who is buff with muscles and he is wearing a tight shirt with flowers, game on. I will climb you like a tree. Like, I find that hyper masculine because, to me, a part of masculinity, because of the way that we have built it in society, is like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm gonna do what I want.
Of course.
And I find that fascinating when we again look to the divine feminine as creator energy. What is more doing than creating that, right? And so all of this is, and frankly, I'm not sure if I'm using this word totally correctly, but this is the word that's coming to me, contrived. It's just, it's so much broader than that, and we could be freeing ourselves so much more when we release these things. I'm not trying to make them right or wrong. I'm just saying I have experienced suffering from these words and from what society has put these boxes around. And I know I'm not the only one.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm not the only one. And so I think this brings us right into our next question. Are you balanced, and what does that feel and look like for you? So May, you spoke to androgyny, which is one of my favorite phrases in the universe. Are you balanced, and what does that feel and look like for you?
That's the question that I thought was going to be the second one. And I was like, there were 3 questions. Where is the other one? Okay, that was the one. Okay.
We always start with the main question, and then we scale to 3 questions.
I do believe that I am very balanced, at least if I compare myself with my previous years as myself here. I'm still in the process, but I do believe I'm getting into a level of self-knowledge and self-respect that allows me to move around the world with confidence in how I present myself in general and in an intimate approach. Even though I experience, sometimes I am aware of some insecurities as well with regards to the ones that affect me the most is like whether I look too masculine, because I have this idea that because I have been born as a woman, I have to present myself in a very feminine way according to the society and the cultural environment that I have lived in. So that's one that I have to be aware of and not stop myself from presenting myself in the way that I feel like. So in the way that I sit when I have maybe my legs open completely, because that's very comfortable to me, or I am like this on a chair, whatever. It's like, or dressing in a certain way, or having some way of presenting myself that for many people in society looks more masculine. And just I think like you two, or at least like Jamie, I had to reconcile with my feminine self because I felt repressed my masculine self on my childhood. I also created like a negative effect on the feminine, as if the feminine was responsible or had to be affected by it anyway. So in the last 2 years, I was conscious of my masculine energy wants to express itself this way, and my feminine energy wants to express itself this way. And this battle between who needs to be on top of who and who needs to protect itself from the other one has to come to an end, because there is no point anymore. If I, and how could I do that? Only by disconnecting from any social narratives as to what is masculine and what is feminine, and figure out for my own self. And I'm still in that process, but I feel so comfortable today and so confident in who I am, and I don't have to explain myself to anybody. Even though there's another thing that, for example, I'm affected a little bit as well, because I dress and act sometimes a little bit less feminine than most women. Some people assume that my more masculine energy means that I'm a lesbian, for example, and they directly put this tag on me, and they have this assumption. And sometimes I struggle with that, even if I shouldn't. But there's something that I still have to deal with, because I don't like to put labels on myself, and I don't like people putting labels on myself either. But it's also part of the social experience that you have to go through it, that some people are just going to put labels on you, and maybe they're going to say them to your face or maybe on to your back, and like accept that part of the physical social experience. And as long as you can feel that you are being who you truly are, there's nothing greater than that. Even if that feels as a threat many times in society, I think there is no greater inner peace than that. Like, this is me. This is me. You want to put these labels, you like it more or less, my hair, my clothes, my this, my that. It's your problem, it's not mine, as long as I am accepting myself in the process of getting to know myself truly and deeply.
Well said. And that again, like, even that's the flip side, right? Of like men not being allowed to wear pink. And so this is, these are examples of how, this ultimately is a construct, which to me, a construct is something that is a structured way of being that is created by humanity. That's my definition in this context. And it may or may not be serving us. And it can also serve us and not serve us at the same time, because humanity is not so simple. KJ, how are you feeling about this? Are you balanced, and what does that feel and look like?
First, I was laughing because May, you said the social, and I thought you were going to say experiment, which is accurate. I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of that going on. Am I balanced? Am I feminine and masculine? I don't feel super balanced these days. That's something that I have been struggling with. And it feels and looks different, in different ways. Like, it's pretty nuanced, because to a degree that does affect our expression. That's what we've been talking about, right? How we're feeling, whether we're feeling strong and confident or not so much, does it, then translate to your expression. Jamie said, some non-binary folks really focus or gravitate or switch back and forth. Oh, I woke up feeling feminine, so I'm going to wear this dress, or the opposite, right? To me, it's just kind of an ongoing, I've been going through another phase of a little bit of body dysphoria, which is not a new theme for me by any stretch. And So when I feel that I don't present or look the way that makes me feel the best, then I feel more challenged in dressing accordingly, right? Or even like feeling good about my outfit. Yes, I wanted to feel, I'm having a rough emotional day, so I wanted to feel pretty and girly. So here we are in the florals.
Yes.
And you can see that I shaved the side of my head, and I'm probably going to go even more so back.
I
You know,
love it.
might perceive that as more masculine, but it's been so freeing for me to wear my hair short and to do all of the things, right? And to try different things. And I tried, you both know, I grew my hair out last year. It was down below, just about to my chin, maybe a little lower on both sides. And I've done that before, but I've been doing this to some degree since 2017, and turns out it's a key part of my personality for the time being. I feel a lot better about myself, a lot more Katie Jayne, right? Like my funky, very alternative vibes. And that just kind of encompasses what we're talking about. I'm an alternative vibe, so I think outside the box. I see the spectrum of masculine and feminine, and I love, like Jamie said, I love that for you, whatever that looks like, right? For you, I'm here to hold space for all the people that I love, of course, and then people that I meet to just be who they are in the moment, right? And listen to their stories about what got them there or what's relevant, right, in life. And so it has felt a little bit more of a struggle for me that I am not as in my divine feminine flow, but it ebbs and flows, right? There are moments when I do feel that way, when I'm in service, when I'm doing oracle card readings like on Instagram Live, and I'm in that receptive state of being connected with, spirit and being of service and connecting with others. But then most of the time, or lately, I just feel like much more in my masculine, like I'm pushing career-wise, trying to make money, trying to provide, and finding small moments of bringing in the feminine, if it's a self-care bath or, wearing this outfit today. So it's ebbs and flows. And I know intellectually that it's not forever, right? I'm not going to feel this way forever. I am making progress in many ways in life. Like we all are moving and growing every day, right? If we stop, that's the problem. So that's where I'm.
I'm proud of you for embarking on these layers, and thank you for your powerful, vulnerably share. And it's a process, and it can come back at any time, and this is why I say that I don't look at any of this as good or bad, right? Yes, I see that people have had and have incredible challenges, and I do see that this is a base construct that impacts a lot of other constructs that are very often more agreeably damaging overall in society than not. And at the same time, the human collective consciousness choosing to look at this construct and spectrum has allowed for us to explore different sides of ourselves and what different things mean and whether things have meaning or not. And that is powerful soul development. I don't regret the development I have. That doesn't keep me up at night anymore. Once upon a time, it would. Once upon a time, I woke up every day enraged that the world cared about this stuff. And I'm much more patient now. and because I've created a different understanding. This question is very interesting for me because I think that, in fact, I would say, I know that the majority of humanity will, if they don't know me, like on any level other than a surface level, they're going to perceive that I'm balanced. If they know me deeply, they probably perceive that I'm imbalanced because of different changes and oscillations that are happening in my world and in my life. But for me, I don't think about it anymore. And so I feel more balanced and free than I have ever felt. Like I said, I have a beard because I feel like I look sexy when I have a beard, and I feel sexy. And the actual bigger truth is that which is not to say that the other piece is a lie, but the bigger truth is actually that, I look extremely young. Society at large doesn't take me seriously the younger that someone looks. It's not just unique to me, but like it's been a huge impact in my life, especially personally and professionally, either dating or professionally, in terms of being able to be in a leadership role or being taken seriously in general. And it is actually mind-blowing because I have literally tested this out over years, and people treat me totally different when I have facial hair. Totally different. They actually, take me more seriously. I look older because we know that hormonally and physiologically for human beings, as we develop, we don't usually have facial hair, right? Until like a certain age point in our development. So automatically, it's an autopilot response for people because of how deep it is. Like, oh, like Jamie must be at least, probably in his 20s. Whereas like literally a couple of years ago, especially even if I remove my beard entirely right now, people think I look 16 to 18 years old. It drives me nuts. Can you imagine how difficult it is for me to date or do anything? It's just really difficult.
Anything.
So for me, that has nothing to do with me being divinely masculine or feminine. It's just like, I want this. And what I desire for the rest of humanity is to, as KJ said, like, just be yourself. Like, do whatever you want, so long as it doesn't cause harm to other people or yourself. That's it. That's the game. That's humanity.
It shouldn't.
And that's not even about just what we're talking about right now. That's en masse. Like, I don't like to blanket statement, but that's when I feel super solid in. If you do whatever you want that makes you happy and it doesn't hurt you or other people, you're golden.
Let's go.
That's how we're all evolving. So for me, it's a huge victory that this is not keeping me up at night, that this is not stopping me from wearing something I want to wear, do something I want to do. I mean, would I be completely shocked tomorrow to be like, oh my God, girls, I really want to wear a dress. Which one should I wear? I would eat this shirt if that was something that I desired. I would be totally shocked. But this is something that's been key to Jamie forever. Forever. I've never liked being in a dress since I was little. I don't know how to describe it. Now, if a dress has pockets, I'm immediately a little bit more interested. And I also appreciate dresses on other people, regardless of how you identify. It's just not me, as KJ said with the hair, right?
Oh, and I was also going to say earlier, 9.99% of the time I've seen men in floral, I'm instantly more attracted. I honestly fucking love that shit. Like, you rock it. Whether, regardless again of their gender expression, it's the look, it's the confidence, and it stands out.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Why is anything that is natural in our environment, and we can go more into this in our deep dive, but like, why is anything that's natural in our environment that we present materialistically considered to be feminine or masculine and must be this or must be no? Like, do we tell people, you're a man, so like, how dare you have live plants in your apartment? No, we say science shows that when we have live plants in our apartment, we're happier, we're more productive, we have more oxygen, this, that, the other. Feminine and masculine, never discussed. It's not a part of it. So let's also remember that all of this conversation is contextual. And one of the incredibly amazing things about being human is that we contextualize. We contextualize. So we answered this question: how does the balance of your feminine and masculine energies impact your energy? And we are going to be going into a deeper dive about that. But right now, I don't actually see any comments, KJ, for you to respond to. Everyone's been quiet, which I'm not surprised that people are being quiet, because I do see that people have been tuning in. But this is a very heavy topic. And it's a topic that it's going to activate and probably feel like trigger.
It's delicate nowadays, yeah.
So it's very delicate. Frankly, it's been delicate for a long time. But just before we get into closing, I just want to remind everyone that in our human society and history, men invented the need to wear high heels, and they were wearing them first.
I was going to say that.
Let you sit with that until we get to the next realm. But seriously, get excited, because the three of us have made some major new decisions and developments of how we want to go about things going forward, because we like this idea of keeping a quick flow and being able to touch upon different topics. And also, the three of us feel like we're sort of, we want to make sure that each of each other feels heard, and we also feel confident and excited about responding to each other. And also, most of you don't want to listen to something super long. So now what we're going to be doing is we're going to have the first episode where we're going to just ping, 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 back and forth, touch upon things. And then we're going to have a deep dive episode of the same thing the following week. And that's going to allow us to get even deeper and allow just more flow. So if you're someone who likes structure, probably really like the first one. If you're someone who likes to go deep and just hear all of the deepest nooks and crannies of thoughts, and you want to expand on the topic that you were excited about, then you're definitely going to want to join us for the second one. And of course, we want you to be with us for both.
Of course.
So get excited for what's to come. So remember that we have our weekly live streams and content that is multimedia across OnlyFans, YouTube, Insight Timer, still working on Insight Timer. And you're welcome to invite us to speak if you're interested in having us speak at your company, at your school, at your hospital, your university, whatever the case may be. If you're interested in coaching, reach out to us and let us know. Our next episode will be the deep dive on how does the balance of your feminine and masculine energies impact your intimacy. And that's going to be on Tuesday, March 4th at 11:30 a.m. MST, 1:30 p.m. EST, and 7:30 p.m. CET. And we look forward to continuing this incredibly valuable conversation. And, I hope that what people take from this is that these respectful conversations are possible, right? Like, we all have, I have a somewhat radically different perspective, but also both of you somewhat agree with my perspective, and so on. We can have these conversations without screaming at each other.
Of course.
Right.
Yes.
So anyway, and remember, intimacy starts
within.
We love you unconditionally. We'll see you next time.
We love you.
Be well.
See you soon.